Did you see the stylish?
Welcome to the Young IPA podcast. I'm James. This is Pete.
G'day, everyone.
It is episode 147. It is the 27th of February. Happy leap year to everyone. I don't know why I brought that up, but I did, and we're just going to own it. All right. We got a loaded show for you guys coming up this week. We are talking to the IPA's Director of Communications, Evan Mulholland. Yeah. Huge week for him. He was trending around Australia on Twitter. We have this awesome new poll that just came out that we want to talk to him about on Australians' attitudes towards the ABC.
Not good.
A few other things the poll is not good. No, the poll is good, showing that Australians have a not good view, and the segment is very good. Yep. So just to make sure we contextualise what Peter just said.
That's what I meant by that. He's right.
That's what the contextualisation was. We also have on the show the latest of the Bloomberg campaign and their comedy writers. Bins, big discussion point, especially with Evan, and net zero emissions. Pete, anything you're looking forward to at the start of the show?
Well, I think the highlight of the show for me was you saying happy leap year to everyone. So I think we've already peaked.
All right, well.
And it's only down here from
here.
So
that's it for us next week.
Go and do your washing. Go mow your lawn. No, just kidding. Looking forward to Donald Trump expressing his love for something that I also love.
All right, there we go.
So I'll leave it like that.
All right, so Pete, let's talk about the big issue, which is the fact that Bernie Sanders is basically like it's his race to lose from this point.
Exactly right. Bernie Sanders is right in the lead of the Democrat nominee for the president. So he continues to gain support. He's got 43 delegates. The closest to him is Buttigieg on 26. Now, obviously, there's heaps more to go. He's ahead in the polls as well. Super Tuesday is next Tuesday. Now, what Super Tuesday is when a whole lot of these things happen on the same day. In fact, a third of the pledged delegates happen on Super Tuesday, next Tuesday. So far, we've had barely any, but what we have now is kind of an indication of what's happened. Now,
so it's about momentum at this point, and then Super Tuesday is like, actually, can you win this?
It's like the first half an hour of election counting. And you're ahead, but no one really knows what it means. Now, it stays like this after Stupid Tuesday. Wow. It's been pretty stupid.
You just got owned. You think you're a Super Tuesday? Well, Peter's got a nickname for you.
Yeah. You've
Is that what you and Trump love? The thing you teased at the start of the show, that you and Trump have a love for giving people silly nicknames?
Maybe. I reckon he should start calling him that. That would work, to be honest. Anyway, if he's in front at the end of Super Tuesday, then he's pretty much got it.
Yeah, because I was like kind of hoping for, just because I'm a nerd, a contested convention, because that would be delicious on Twitter and on Cable News Network, and we were definitely going to have people say this person's going to be the candidate, then they're not the candidate, then they melt down. It would have been awesome. Hasn't happened for 60 years or something like that. So I'm sad that we missed out on that.
Well, I mean, there's still a lot. We haven't had Stupid Tuesday yet.
We haven't had Stupid Tuesday yet.
So
the hope of a contested convention, which if people don't know, is like where they get to the candidate stage and no one has enough delegates to win, so they all have to get there together and in backroom deals figure out who's going to be their candidate for the election.
Oh, backroom deals. The Clintons decide.
Well, they're in a back room.
Yeah.
Usually, everyone must bend the knee to the throne, and they will decide who gets to be the nominee.
Yep.
Now, so a few other things that we'll talk about with Sanders being the leader, because I guess everyone kind of knows who he is by this point and has made up their mind on him, whether they like him or not. But stuff that has come out this week or stuff that has been reiterated this week, I mean, we started off, a lot of it came out of a 60 Minutes interview with Anderson Cooper, and we had the debate today. We had the debate yesterday with all the Democratic nominees, and everyone's going at Sanders right now, especially over these comments. So we've got him on the Fidel Castro.
Society. We're very opposed to the authoritarian nature of Cuba. But, it's unfair to simply say everything is bad. When Fidel Castro came into office, you know what he did? He had a massive literacy program.
So and rounded up homosexuals.
That's fine. Yeah, well, so, the good with the bad, I guess, would be his point. And then he was pressed on the fact that the stuff about his Medicare plan was going to cost about $30 trillion, which is 3 times the amount of the American economy, not just the federal government, but the economy.
That's a fair bit.
Throw it over to Sanders. What do you got to say?
I mean, do you have a price tag for all this?
We do. I mean, the price tag is, it will be substantially less than letting the current system go. I think it's about $30 trillion.
That's just for Medicare for all.
Just Medicare for all. Yes.
Do you have a price tag for all of these things?
No, I don't.
I mean, sorry, it sounded pretty good.
Politicians always love it. I mean, people always love when politicians can't cost their policies.
Yeah, exactly. It's just like it threw over the Labor in this election. It's going to throw over Sanders. Like, I genuinely reckon Trump would dominate Sanders. I mean, you talk about moderate people go like, I don't know Republican, don't know about Democrat. Like I'm not the biggest Trump guy in the world, but he's not on record praising Fidel Castro or just like, well, I suppose there are a few pie in the sky things, but not as pie in the sky as where's 30 trillion come from. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah. We're not going to nickel and dime it right now.
I can't cost that for you right now, but look, that's an interesting point. The general consensus is, and as you know, James, I'm no political, expert. But people, the general consensus is he can't win. Heaps of Democrats will stay home and not vote if Sanders is the nominee, and Americans generally will never vote for a socialist. I get that, but people said that Donald Trump would never win. James.
That's the other part, which is like, we talked about this with Andrew Bolton on the show a few weeks ago. Once a reality TV billionaire can be president, literally anyone can be president. Yep. So who knows? The other part of it is I'm liking the Democratic establishment freak out over Sanders. So there's so many people who are like, Sanders, blah, 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 blah. Now that he's the front runner, they are mustering the forces of establishment darkness against him.
Yeah,
so
that's a good way of putting
Chris Matthews, MSNBC host, might know him as cantankerous old dude who yells about politics.
The only one on
TV. But he is a bit of a voice for the Democratic establishment. Compared Sanders winning Nevada to France falling to the Nazis, which he since apologized for, probably rightly so. Not the best analogy you want to bring up. But I don't know if they're going to be able to harness the forces of darkness like they did in 2016 to make sure Hillary won, the same way they'll be able to now when it's like Sanders is just blowing everyone away.
Yeah, well, he's in front by so much, it will be hard for them to do that, but they will try.
They will try.
Now, can I just show you
efforts will be made.
Yeah, exactly right. Now, can I just show you one more thing before we move on? I noticed this during the week. It was made a few weeks ago, and now the Sanders have campaign. It's a video, and the Sanders campaign have adopted it as an ad, and in my opinion, butchered it. So I'm just going to show you a section of the original video. So roll the tape, please, mate.
Black, white, straight, gay, men, female. We are together. We are united. Our time is right now. We will not wait 4 more years. We will not wait 20 more years. We will not wait 2 more presidents. We will not wait 3 more presidents. The time is now.
Now, that goes for about 2 minutes, and obviously I can't show the whole thing.
Yeah, what's your problem with that? Because the second I saw that ad, I wanted to run through a wall. Like, you get Killer Mike telling me about anything for 3 minutes, I will want to fight it.
Well, I don't have a problem with it at all. In fact, what I was going to say was that's by a bloke called Killer Mike, as James just said, who's a rapper.
Run the jewels.
And it goes for 2 minutes, and it is amazing. And I think that this is the reason that people vote, young people especially, are attracted to socialism. We've got to make ads like that.
Right.
If we want to get young people to be interested in liberalism, let's say.
I'll reach out to Killer Mike.
If you could reach out to Killer Mike.
And I'll fanboy for a little bit. Talk about Run the Jewels 2 being the best album of rap music in the last 10 years. Yeah. Oh, that's probably not right. But it's a bit of a butterfly. But once I get the fanboying out of the way, I'll try and bring them on side.
Yeah, just say more government's not the solution to your problems. But that is amazing. And Google it and have a look. And if you change 3 words, you can make it about liberalism.
There we go. All right. So the other thing we should talk about at the start of the show is, unless you had anything.
No, that's it, mate. That's all I had.
All right. So the other thing we should talk about at the start of the show, bring it back to Australian home soil. Labor has announced a net zero emissions policy by 2050 and will oppose taxpayer funding of new coal-fired power plants. So one out of those 2 things is good, and it's definitely not the first one. So in their defense, like they say, okay, we're signed up for Paris. Paris has specifically said net zero emissions by 2050, so we're just announcing that we're going to suit up to Paris. I echo Gideon Roslin's thing, which is like, congratulations, Scott Morrison, on wiping out the next election. I don't get this as a strategy. We just had the climate election and Labor got absolutely pantsed out of nowhere, and I don't know why they're doubling down and saying net zero emissions by 2050.
That's the technical term, James. Yeah, no, look, you're right, and the rhetoric's changed since the election. They stopped openly hating bogans, which is good, but this is an example of actually the action not changing. The actual policy positions are staying pretty much the same. And I think the reason, so you just asked why has that happened, I think it's just because they've still got those massive greenie factions in their party, and they've still got massive greenie factions in their support. So it's really hard. If you want to help the emissions, tell Daniel Andrews to legalise uranium in Australia and, get follow America's lead and do fracking. Do fracking. That's the technical term.
Yeah.
Natural gas and all that, because they've reduced their emissions under Trump and Obama, to be fair, because of more stuff like that.
Yeah. So I mean, that's a thing where if you want to lower emissions, which we all do, the best ways to do it are nuclear and fracking. But then, like, the narrative goes, okay, so Labor's announced that what's the coalition going to do, and the coalition say, okay, well, ours is more of a technology-based solution to getting towards lower emissions, and that gets laughed at. But like, the thing with technology-based emissions is that it sounds as like, wishful thinking as zero net emissions by 2050. But 25 years ago, we didn't have the internet. Like, who knows what the world is going to look like in 50 years' time? We might have figured out a technology way of doing all this stuff. Like, if you genuinely think the electric car that runs as well as a diesel car and costs as little as a diesel car isn't on the way in the next 50 years, you're a fool. Like, look around you. Look how much technology is developing and how quickly it is.
That is literally the solution. Like, if it needs a solution, as you know, I'm quite skeptical of how bad a problem climate change is going to be. But if it does need a solution, it's definitely technological innovation.
Yeah.
It's not Anthony Albanese going, we're going to be emissions free by 2050.
Yeah, the guy that invents this stuff is going to be the richest person in the world, and no one has to immediately divest from mining in Australia, and we lose jobs.
No, exactly right.
If that's pie in the sky thinking, then so is yours, but mine is actually correct. Not yours, but like people that think net zero policy.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Okay,
so that's that. Let's get into heroes and villains. Let's hear from Grunt the Pig, which is the international symbol for the snort of freedom. This is for people that have stood up for freedom around the world, for human progress. So
that's the first time we've had to ask for that.
yeah, because Saul usually throws in a curveball. Usually he tries to one-up us, but I thought if I preempted him and I asked for it, then the power's back in my hands and not Saul's.
Get him a bit
And
slack.
he doesn't have a microphone, so he can't defend himself. Now, Pete, who is your hero of the week this week?
Well, I don't know if you've heard of this bloke, but Donald Trump is my hero this week. Now, he's been visiting India in front of more than 100,000 fans in Matera Cricket Stadium in Gujarat. He said this.
Where your people cheer on some of the world's greatest cricket players, from Sachin Tendulkar to Virat Kohli.
Now, I'm sure he's got staff. That say to him, now, do you know how to pronounce these names? And I'm sure Donald Trump says, yes, I know how to pronounce it. Let me do the speech.
Yeah, he strikes me as a we'll do it live kind of guy.
Yeah.
I got to say, that's actually, if you told me, check out this clip of Donald Trump trying to pronounce Sachin Tendulkar and Virat Kohli, he did much better than I would have thought.
Yeah.
Virat Kohli was nearly correct.
Yeah. He just sort of said Kohli. Look, he wasn't too bad, but he sort of, it's like, even if you said Sachin Tendulkar phonetically, it would be closer. You'd be right, because it's sort of a phonetic name. Anyway, the link between cricket and politics happens a lot, James, as we know. Now, I'm going to show you a few clips of this. This is a famous one. Roll the tape, Saul.
Howard failed to handle the local conditions with his first delivery. That was a dead ball. Not wanting to damage Australia's cricket reputation on the subcontinent, he stepped up again. Wide that time. One last failed attempt.
Now, everyone's seen that before. John Howard's very famous. I didn't realise he actually did 3 bad deliveries.
I only thought there was one. How do you go back to the well? What was going to be fixed after the first one? It wasn't like there's technical, you're just releasing it a second too slowly. Don't go back.
No, that's just
leave the country.
That's just a fast bowler going, Skip, I've got it. Give me the ball. Get the ball in my hands. Anyway, he then went and had a bat and he actually hit the ball, so he didn't get
you'd hope.
Off stump out of the ground. Anyway, Hawkey came a cropper as well with cricket. Saul, please.
Oh, well, I haven't felt better, but it's okay. Tell me I was very lucky that it scratched the surface of the eye.
Now, for those listening, that is Prime Minister Hawke getting hit in the head playing in a cricket game. Didn't realise also in that game, I thought that had happened. Apparently he hit his first ball for 4 and made 28, so he did do pretty well anyway. It was done by Melbourne Herald journalist Gary O'Neill. Imagine standing at the top of your mark going, I'm going to scon this bloke. Prime Minister of Australia, I'm going to scon him. Anyway, final one of cricket and politics sometimes does...
Leave me off that last press release, would you?
Of cricket and politics mixing very well indeed. Go on, Saul.
Oh, that's a big shot. It's hit high in the air, going down towards extra cover, and they won't get that one. Into the crowd. What a shot. That's 6.
I've literally never seen it.
Is it that miles? That has gone miles. It is a huge 6.
Now, of course, that is Imran Khan, Prime Minister of Pakistan, when he used to play for Pakistan, smashing the Aussies all around the Gabba at some point in the 80s.
Very good point.
A lot of cricket for the show. Let's move on.
A lot of visual clips for a primarily audio-based format.
So I've got a few more cricket highlights.
All right, great. Here's a nice maiden over from Shane Warne circa 1997. All right, my hero of the week this week is Rishi Sunak, the new treasurer for the UK. They are putting together the budget, and he tweeted out a photo of him and his team hard at it. People can see it there. I just gave Pete crap for the visual format, but this is very visual. But anyway, sorry, he's right next to what appears to be like the largest bag of Yorkshire tea you can possibly buy. It is like nearly the size of his torso. Now, by the way, that is my kind of treasure. That is a bulk purchase of someone who knows how to stretch a dollar with a view to the long term. Like that is not just, okay, let's settle this for right now. That is, let's settle this for future generations.
He's not set that down the road to get a few actual coffees made at a coffee shop. He says we're going to get $40 worth of coffee. It's going to last us 2 decades.
Yes. So that's the kind of treasurer you want at the helm. And so he tweeted out that photo. And Yorkshire Tea is a company. It's not just like a way of making tea. It's a company. And because of that, Twitter did what it did. A few choice tweets that I'll read to you. Yorkshire Tea, why are you promoting this fool? No longer buying your products. Well, that's how it looks. So goodbye from me to Yorkshire Tea. And a really tiny one. I printed out that tiny for some reason. This, I genuinely cannot read this. All right, then. Well, anyway. So the point remains, a whole lot of people jumped on saying Yorkshire Tea, how dare you sponsor this man, as if like Yorkshire Tea is just like, hey, here's some co-opting we can do. Yeah. Like we want to get an athlete at the height of his performance. Let's put some money into the treasurer of the UK. Yeah. Anyway, so Yorkshire Tea didn't ask for any of this. They just happened to be the product that he bought. And they had to tweet out, so it's been a rough weekend. On Friday, the Chancellor shared a photo of our tea. Politicians do that sometimes. Jeremy Corbyn did it in 2017, so they're both sides of the aisle, Yorkshire Tea. We weren't asked or involved, and we said so the same day. Lots of people got angry with us all the same. Now, they're my hero this week, because that is a tough week, embroiled in an internet storm for absolutely no reason, because apparently everything down to the tea you purchase for your office on a late night is political.
Exactly right. And I'm glad you made them a hero, because they didn't succumb. They just wrote a polite statement saying, we're not political.
Hey, look, we crossed the aisle.
They
this
didn't
tea...
say,
yeah,
we distance ourselves from Boris Johnson's racist government or something like that.
Yes, they withstood the Yorkshire Tea Party.
So,
that was a joke I knew Pete would hate.
All right, all week.
That is
Villains.
If the heroes will now go to the villains, and I have said many times before, I do not endorse what we do for villains. So, Pete, take us away.
Well, so I'll roll the tape. This is
as Extinction Rebellion protests enter their 6th day.
That is a fake nudie run from Extinction Rebellion back in October, and as a result, they get named the fake Extinction Rebellion nudie run Villain of the Week award for those who are standing against freedom this week. James, hit us with your nomination.
My nomination for Villain of the Week is Caulfield Grammar, which is a private school down here in Melbourne. They have just opened up a $25 million aquatic centre in the school. A lot of money.
It is a lot of money.
That is a lot of money. $25 million aquatic centre. But they were deciding who to name it after. Now, one name that strikes to mind when you think of Caulfield Grammar, and maybe you don't know this, but if you were a Caulfield Grammar student and you were opening up an aquatic centre, maybe you would think to name it after former Caulfield Grammar student Mack Horton, like Australian medalist, greatest swimmer in Australia at the moment. I would assume. I don't really pay attention to swimming outside of Olympics, but I know last time he did really well.
He's up there.
He's up there. So, but they decided not to, and the report coming out of the Sydney Morning Herald was that because they wanted to protect their business interests in China, because if you weren't aware, Mack Horton is in a long-standing feud with Chinese swimmer Sun Yang over Sun Yang's drug cheat.
Alleged
drug cheat. Good save, Pete, to keep us away from the trolls who will come anyway if they need to. But anyway, so Mack Horton, Sun Yang, they've decided to take Sun Yang and the money over Mack Horton.
Yeah.
Now they've just come out now that they might change it back, which they probably should. But Caulfield Grammar, if you're a student there, just know the school will support you as long as it doesn't cost them potential future earnings.
I don't know how you can look your students in the eye and tell you we want you to grow up and be people of integrity, people of honesty and stuff like that, and then bow to that. Do you know what that regime is doing to people? Caulfield Grammar, you should be ashamed.
Yeah, it's literally your own student.
Yeah.
If there's any school in Australia that should praise Mack Horton, it's the one he went to school at.
He's gone up, he's an elite swimmer, he's done really well, he stood up against something that was wrong.
Yep.
And this is how you repay him.
There we go. All right.
For a few extra yuan.
Very good. All right, let's move over to your villain.
Mate, I've got a really good villain this week. This is what I really was looking forward to, but I forgot at the start. Anyway, my villain this week
behind the curtain
is Tasmania Parks and Wildlife Service. 3 days ago on the ABC News website, there was this. If you've ever picked up a stick in a park or reserve to help lever yourself over the rocky patches, you probably thought you weren't doing any harm, but Tasmanian Wildlife Services wants track users to think twice about picking up walking sticks. James, a stick is not just a stick. That is a direct quote. If you're an ant, that stick could be a perfect highway across the forest floor. Also good for fungus and insects. So sticks, apparently, James, are a city link for ants, and visitors have been asked to bring walking poles if required. Now, this all started, James, because staff at, now I did Google how to say this, Freycinet National Park, noticed that people were discarding the sticks they'd use and they were putting them in the car park as they left. Now, I looked into this, James. Freycinet National Park is 169 square kilometres. There's enough friggin' sticks to go around, okay? We can all have a stick. Find something better to do some friggin' burn-offs or something. This is ridiculous.
I got a few things. So one, I only just thought of now, which is like you said, how these sticks are ants highways and people are leaving them in the car park. So now they're just an ants highway in a different spot. You're telling me the ants in the car park don't get a highway? They've got to go over the gravel?
There's ants and fungi in the car park.
Exactly. That's ant-discrimination. Now, the other part I'll talk about is, so the ant highway's a sunbed for a skink, I don't know what that is, or a home for fungi. Now, if you're telling me that any of those things are more important than me pretending to be Gandalf and annoying people I'm on a hike with, I don't want to hear it. Because that is important.
Yeah.
It's important to bring jokes in. Also, another part of this story I saw. So rangers at the national park collected and discarded walking sticks over 3 months to demonstrate the impact. So you had this like whole bunch of sticks in one pile in the middle of the forest. Strikes me as a bad idea. Well, I don't even know if you've read too much about the bushfires, but I reckon having a whole bunch of sticks in one location in the middle of a national park, I would frown upon that.
A pile of kindling. It's like building a little fire.
I don't know if you're doing the thing that you think you're doing when that happens.
And also, if they're so important, put them back.
Exactly.
It's a stick.
Now no ant can have a highway. Now no ant can have a highway because these rangers want to make a point. Yeah. All right, that is it for the start of the show. So now let's go over to our interview with Evan Mulholland. Okay, we're now joined once again by the IPA's Director of Communications, Evan Mulholland. Welcome back to the show.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Now,
massive week.
Massive week for Evan. You were trending in Australia, Mr. Trending in Australia, Evan, number one.
On
Twitter.
On Twitter.
Yeah.
As opposed to what, Pete?
Well, you can trend on other stuff, can't you?
I think if you're trending, it's definitely a Twitter thing. So anyway, how has fame changed you this week?
I've
no, it hasn't really changed me much.
Well, I reckon.
As you know, I'm very humble. Obviously, a lot of the responses weren't overly positive, but I sort of put that to the side. I never really take note of it. Plus, I've done a really great thing on Twitter. I've gone to the mute section.
Very humble.
I've gone to the mute section and I've muted the teardrop emoji. And as you know, all the lefties have identified with this teardrop emoji, something about water buybacks or something like that. Okay. So most of the responses I didn't actually see. So.
How do I do that? I'll do it right now.
I will show you how to do it. You go to your settings and then you go mute.
All right, yeah, Pete, you carry this interview. I'm just trying to figure this out.
I don't ever want to mute people. I'm ready to hear all viewpoints.
Trust me, not after a few days on Twitter, not all viewpoints.
Sometimes I go on Twitter and it makes me sad. That's true. But Evan, what was the tweet? Because Bolt forgot to read it out.
Okay, it was that this is a disgrace, talking about the extra bin for the viewers and listeners, talking about the Daniel Andrews introducing an additional bin for glass, which has like a pink or purple lid. So that's 4 bins people need to have, which have no room. So I said, this is a disgrace. Daniel Andrews is conscripting all Victorians to become unpaid rubbish sorters.
Okay.
Which is true.
And that for that you were trending.
For that I was the number one trend in Australia. Now, I've said things, I think, that are a lot more controversial than that. As you know, Gideon tweets all the time as well. He said things that are a lot more controversial than that.
Well, he definitely has.
It was a slow news day for the tweeters out there that have too much time on their hands. They had a lot of fun with it, and good on them. Most of the the Twitter journalist class got around it as well, which I thought was quite amusing. It was a lot of fun.
The thing I think about it is you got like all these Twitter responses, which you said, but the thing is, I don't think it accurately reflects where the Australian public is. Like, Twitter is not real life as being a deciding election strategy for a few elections now, and this thing as well, because when your comments got picked up by, your article got picked up by the Herald Sun, those comments were very positive.
Yeah, there was like over 600 comments all in my favour, being like, this is absolute crap. I have no place to store this. This is so impractical. This is going to result in more waste. All the exact arguments I was making, but it's a lot different to what was said on Twitter. And I can tell you, my email inbox is full of punters writing in, being like, good on your comments. This is a disgrace.
I will get to the actual story in a sec because it is very important, but I want to touch on another person who's also had a big week on Twitter, not just yourself, Evan, but the man next to me, James Bolt, got his first 100-like tweet this week. I'll read it out to you. The year is 2030.
All right, we don't need to do this.
Same
Let's
topic
get
as
past
you.
this part.
You have 47 bins.
All right.
Each is triggered with an alarm that upon a single mistake sets off a swarm of killer wasps. The wasps must be then put into their own bin. 193 likes. Rita Panahy, David Lanehelm. Big old Rexy boy here responded as well. What do you think of that? How does James become famous like you?
That's a great tweet. I didn't even see it.
Oh, well, thank
there
you.
you go. One more like coming up.
The powers that be around here have asked me to tweet more, so tweet I shall.
Yeah,
So
no, you've been
at
some
James
good
M.
gear.
Bolt.
Yeah, I had a great
do
tweet
it.
about the nannies at the Guardian.
Oh,
So
that
was a
sucked.
good
All right,
one.
can we? Sorry, sidestep to this one for a second.
Yeah,
So the Guardian opinion page had one today, which was like, "Is it time to ban drinking on planes because a few too many people are apparently getting drunk on planes and being rude to staff?" Now you shouldn't get rude to staff.
That's
I'm not
just
saying
Kevin
you
Rudd,
should.
really.
Yeah, exactly. Once the Guardian can leave Kevin Rudd alone, I'll be happy. But you should not be mean to staff, obviously. But the idea that the rest of us have to suffer because, like, you know, these are isolated cases, whereas drinking on a plane, as Peter rightly pointed out, is one of life's greatest inventions.
It is
ridiculous.
Oh, and who are these people that are being ruder when they're drunk? Like, I get a bit nicer. When
I just want to know
more
what the
polite.
flight attendant's about. Like, tell me your life story. I want to hear it.
Tell me about you. I've got to serve these
Hey,
dinners, mate.
you're serving me. You're serving me. Let me serve you.
Yeah. So anyway,
Where were we?
Where were we?
I'll get right up on this for
Bolt's been speaking his
decades.
truth.
Anyway, now, another point for this bin story, to go back to that for a second, is that my house, I realized through this whole story, my house only has 2 bins. Has the world left me behind?
It has, probably because you might not have a green waste bin.
Do not have the garden one.
You might not require one. I actually,
What are you saying about my living conditions?
in the suburbs of Reservoir, I have quite a big garden.
All right.
And
Who's gonna go? Okay, Mr. Evan.
I have a green waste bin and it gets quite full. But I also put food. You can put food scraps in there as well, which is part of the rollout they want to make compulsory. But what they want to do is give you a pink or purple bin or whatever it is, so you can separate your glass from everything else.
Yeah.
Now, not only does that mean people will have to store an extra big bin around, people have to change the complexion of how they arrange their kitchen or inside rubbish area, because you can't just have 2 bins inside, one for recycling, one for rubbish. Now you're going to need 3 bins in your general cleaning area.
It's a multiplying effect.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah, because I live in a share house with a few friends, and 2 of them are very, very left wing, and I'm just waiting for them to start really going like, hang on, these bins might not be as good an idea as I thought. Now, one of the tweets that you got that I want to hone in on, I can't remember who it was, but someone said, dude, shouldn't you be happy because Japan has 8 bins and they're doing perfectly fine? I would contest that no one would be happy with 8 bins.
You're exactly right. And if you look at some of the photos out of Japan, and I know a lot of people in Japan, most of the time you just see massive garbage bags on curbside, which are just mixed in all over the place. And there are studies showing that the more people have to sort, the less that actually gets recycled. So it's self-defeating. And our friends at the Institute for Economic Affairs did a big report on a container deposit scheme as well, which was one of the policies they announced, which, everywhere it's been trialled, it's blown out. It's led to, in New South Wales, for example, their big beverage companies are pocketing 30 million a year. So it's turning into these big crony capitalist schemes where governments are basically handing money to big beverage companies like Coca-Cola and Carlton United to do what they're already doing. Yeah,
exactly. It's like charging us for shopping bags. It's
exactly.
Like the corporations will more than happily accept more money.
Exactly. And the punters so fired up about this. Plastic bags, extra bins, they are the bread and butter issues.
That's exactly right.
And you've had a gutful.
I've had a gutful.
Good. Okay.
I
contested last week on the quiz that you get a bonus every time you say.
Well, we did have our poll last week that showed that 66% of Australians want local councils to stick to roads, rates, and rubbish. And state government's announcement proves that the local councils can't even do rubbish correctly.
Well, let's get on to a new poll that we've got now. So the I can't even talk now. The IPA has put out a poll about the ABC. Talk us through that.
Yeah, so we asked Australians to agree or disagree with a simple statement that the ABC does not reflect the views of ordinary Australians. Does not represent the views of ordinary Australians. 32% of Australians disagree with that statement. So
32% agree.
32% disagree. So
Disagree with the idea that it doesn't.
Oh, okay.
Our I think this is shocking indictment on the ABC, because it's telling that only 32% of Australians think that the ABC speaks for them, think it represents their views. You've got an ABC, a public broadcaster that we all fund to the tune of $1.1 billion every year, that is increasingly biased, and I don't mind that the Guardian's biased or the SMH is biased, because they're a private organisation. We don't have to pay for it. The ABC is the only organisation every taxpayer is forced to pay for.
I'm actually surprised that it's as high as 32%. I didn't realise that 32% of Australians were like nihilistic, postmodern, hard left greenies.
But you've got the ABC delving into all these issues. They've now gotten rid of Jared Henderson, so there are basically no Conservatives on Insiders at all. And you might have seen on Slack yesterday, they've released a new podcast into the Whitlam dismissal. Like, if there's any issue that the ABC hasn't covered enough.
Average age right now, go.
70.
Oh, that's low.
They're going to introduce, but for over 65s, 47% of Australians think that the ABC doesn't represent the views of ordinary Australians. That's almost half of people over the age of 65. So this is a shocking indictment for the ABC, and there's all sorts of examples where they're out of step. They're deleting Facebook posts which show that hazard reduction, that protesters were protesting hazard reduction burns. They deleted those. Their bias on their news platforms is just out of control.
I could be super wrong here, so I'll give us time to take it out if we need to. But didn't SBS have an article about climate change and bushfires a few years ago that you can't find anymore?
They did. So this happened recently over about December. When the bushfires came up, a lot of people started sharing one of their old articles saying bushfires not linked to climate change, says expert. Now, this is former Professor David Packham from Monash University, very, very smart fellow. He and still holds those views. He said that bushfires aren't linked to climate change. The most effective way you can reduce the effect of bushfires is hazard reduction. Very, very obvious points. After it started trending online, the SBS deleted the article, took it down.
Really?
It took 2 days for them to put it back up after lots of complaints and it came up in the media a few times. They put it back up with like an editorial up the top trying to give a preamble and explanation for it. It wasn't even their article. It was an AAP article. AAP is Australian Associated Press, basically write articles on behalf of the media that can host it on their website. And so, to my knowledge and my searching, it was the only article ever that they've edited from AAP or deleted. Now, Morgan Begg and I have put in an FOI to the
is this a hot scoop?
This is a hot scoop.
Wow, some breaking news.
Coming out in The Spectator.
Turn up your transistors, people.
So we put in an FOI trying to find all documents and correspondence relating to the deletion of it. Yeah. They came back and said under the programming exemption, they can reject our FOI outright. We then put in an internal review of that decision because as Morgan found out, he was the undertaker in this case. The SBS
is this actually a thing?
It's a
by the
formal
way,
role.
the passing on of the undertaker
It's a
nickname.
formal role.
I don't know. The SBS's own act defines a program as a television or radio broadcast. Nowhere in their act does it say that it is an article on a website, especially an article that they didn't even write. So we've now taken the SBS to the Office of the Australian Information Commissioner for an external review into this FOI, and we're happy to take it all the way to the AAT because there needs to be a new ruling and they can't hide this stuff. They're a public broadcaster.
I'm surprised they thought they could get away with taking down an article that was trending.
Exactly.
So how wrong do we think Bolt was then at the start? Because you said,
I said 0. No, I was 0% wrong.
Yeah, that's what
That's
I was getting at.
Oh, right. Okay. That's a rare show of good form. Good faith.
Anyway.
Now, so the thing with this is that literally none of this would be, it's a bit of a problem, but it's not as big a problem if there wasn't public broadcasting. Because people say, oh, you hate the ABC, you just want 7:30 gone and all this other stuff, and you want regional radio gone. No, we don't. We just want it to not be funded by taxpayers who don't listen to it.
Exactly.
That's not fair.
And one example of the bias, a few weeks ago, the ABC gave wall-to-wall coverage of Boris Johnson's announcement that he was ending coal exports. He had a new net zero 2050 plan. Wall-to-wall coverage. And
Young
saying,
IPA podcast villain at that point.
Look at what the Conservatives are doing in the UK. Why can't the Liberal Party do that here? That was basically the wall-to-wall ABC narrative for a week. The next week, Boris Johnson floated getting rid of the BBC licence fee.
Yeah.
Dead air from the ABC. Literally no coverage, which is ridiculous. It's a fair enough policy to float out there that the BBC, and I think the ABC, should float to a subscription service and be able to stand on its own 2 feet. My view is, if the ABC is good as all their staff say it is, then they have nothing to fear from privatisation. Have a look at privatisation of Telstra, of Qantas, of Commonwealth Bank, all of which have done extremely well post-privatisation and ended up with more revenue and more profits.
Absolutely. All right, I think we've got time for one more.
Yeah, one more. Fire it through.
We got one more. So, Ev, just off air, you were telling us about you've got a child on the way.
On the way.
On the way. Child on the way. And you found a way to stretch a bit of dollars, and I like it.
I have.
Bit of parenting advice.
Bit of parenting capitalism, I call it.
Okay.
So, been doing a lot of shopping with the wife, shopping for big things like prams, car seats, cribs, change tables, and alike. And so I spent about an hour in Baby Bunting. And I don't know if any of the viewers are listening have been to Baby Bunting. It's big baby store, basically Toys R Us for baby stuff. And it is very...
I think they do call that place Toys R Us, by the way.
It is very expensive.
They haven't been there. They're all
It
22.
is very, very expensive. For example, top of the line, I think it's called a Burry sleigh cot, cost about $1,300 or $1,400 new.
Whoa.
Yep. Not cheap. Not
Babies
cheap.
are expensive.
So we spent an hour, poor woman having to guide us through and showing us the different things, going through. We didn't buy anything.
Oh.
I went on Gumtree and Facebook Marketplace. I bought exactly the same cot that was like 3 years old for about $400.
That is always thinking.
Yeah.
That is the power of free market capitalism.
Yeah. Free markets.
Yes.
So a bit of
The
advice.
power it brings to the consumer.
Yeah.
All right, cool. Thank you very much, Evan, and I think you're sticking around for the quiz.
Yep.
All right, this is going to be a very good quiz. Okay. I really feel it. I've predicted it. Pete's already pulling out hair out of his mouth, so maybe it's not as good as it's going to be.
What is time?
Do you need time?
What does hair in your tongue mean? It means you've been lying or something, isn't it? Or
he's got the hairiest damn tongue in the world, I reckon.
Going on with
Lion
this microphone.
Pete, we call him.
Okay.
Like Lion Ted.
Are you good?
Yeah, mate, I'm ready to go. In fact, this is probably a good moment for me to put the crown on.
Well, I would say take that off, not only because you've derailed the quiz and it's not begun, but we actually have two people defending their heavyweight titles right now because Gideon not here last week, couldn't defend his title.
Correct.
Peter Gregory sweeps in and takes it.
Yeah.
So two people with the
double
crown.
championship.
Double championship. Both people going for the same crown that they would both
So this
say
is
is
a
theirs.
unification belt.
Do you want to get straight up into the mic?
That's why I haven't planned the Perth trip so I'd be dethroned.
Yeah.
It's like
Yeah.
he's like the Russians. You're working with him to
Yeah, exactly.
to keep me out.
So this is our own Tyson Fury versus Deontay Wilder, and I will say at the start, no licking of other people's blood.
Why not?
If it comes up.
Okay, well, I'm disappointed. I'm
Sorry?
upset.
No, dude, what?
Surprising that Gideon will not be up to date with the world of heavyweight championship boxing, but
Oh, right. I'm about to say, what the hell happened on the quiz last week? What did you people get up to? I leave for 1 week and the whole show goes to hell. Oh, right, yeah.
look, there was a seed. Everyone who needs to has apologised, and we're going to move on.
Yeah,
All employees have been cancelled by HR.
Exactly. All right. So we'll get straight into it. If it is your first quiz listening, it is 1 point for a correct answer, 1 point off for an incorrect answer. Obviously, we have Evan, Gideon, and Peter.
Reproof.
Well done. And your buzzers are your first names. So, question 1: By what year are Labor committed to?
Evan.
Wow. All right, Pete. Who got that? Because I heard both at the same
I heard
time.
Evan
You
first.
heard
Yeah,
Evan
I think
first.
Evan was
Sweet. Evan
first.
2050.
is correct.
How'd you know the rest of the question like that?
Is going to be committing to net zero emissions. Evan has got that look in his eye. This is some eye of the target stuff.
Jeez.
He can see a coup.
The two champions, and he'll just come up the middle.
Yeah,
exactly.
All right, so
Like Rasputin.
Terrible policy, by the way, that Labor policy.
There we go.
Never stops. Never stops.
Bit of
There we
analysis.
go. Research.
Okay.
That's the research.
All right. So we had the Democratic debate this week. Where is the next primary located?
Gideon.
Gideon.
Who knows?
South Carolina.
I did actually just mention that off air. So
Once
the
you
keen-eyed
start-
No,
contestant-
I actually didn't know. It didn't occur to me. I thought, where is it? But anyway, buzz first and think later.
Once James
That's my
starts
motto.
talking, I just blank out. So.
Yeah, it's what's held the podcast back, but also in some ways improved it. Question number 3. Which dictator did Bernie praise in an unearthed
Roof.
video?
Fidel Castro.
Fidel Castro this week.
Good old Fidel. Not good old Fidel for
well,
old Cubans listening. But
All right, question 4. Which dictator did Peter Gregory just praise on the Young IPA podcast?
just to clarify.
Just
No.
to clarify. All right. Now, Evan, we were just talking to you about bins. How many bins?
Gideon.
Oh, here we go.
Or you? All right. What's the answer?
4.
Is not the question I was going for. So point off for Gideon.
Jeez.
Always pays to wait till the end. How many bins do residents have in Japan?
Roof.
Roof that time.
8, mate.
8.
8 big ones. I saw that on Twitter as well. So
There we go.
That's
All
my
right.
story.
Good story. Do you want to tell it again, but slower? Don't leave out
How
any
does that
details.
work in
this time.
Tokyo if they live in an apartment building? Do they have to,
Potentially not true.
yeah. Oh, okay.
Well, it's definitely an infographic I saw more than once on Twitter.
No, I saw it anyway. Yeah.
All right. In Japanese listeners, write in.
J-Bolt at IPA.
J-Bolt.
Look,
at IPA.
when Australians start sleeping in drawers and stuff like that, then we can have 8 bins.
That is slightly underrated.
They're important. Look, I'm sure it's fine, but they're important cultural differences we're not
Yes.
factoring in here.
But man, those pods.
In Japan, they also sell.
Good way to save a buck,
In
if you
Japan,
ask
they
me.
also have
Here it
vending
comes.
machines at
Here
train
it comes.
stations with strong alcohol, like
They do.
pre-mixed drinks. Can you imagine if they had that at Southern Cross or something? The whole country would burn to the ground.
Realise this was a Gideon
It'd be an
interview.
improvement.
Yeah.
There will be a 1.5
I
minute.
get so
but-
lonely in my office. I like to talk to them. Huh?
This has quickly become a Gideon.
I only got 9 minutes to
Before
quiz
Ross, that
Gideon.
hasn't debuted yet. All right. Now, question where are we up to? 5. Now, which magazine did the Australian Press Council rule was in, quote, breach of standards for accuracy last week?
Oh, where to start?
Magazine.
Magazine.
Are there still
There ain't
magazines?
even any magazines anymore.
There are
IPA
magazines.
review, of course, being
No,
the
IPA
one.
review was never in breach of our standards of
I saw
accuracy.
this.
All right,
God,
Evan,
you're the media man.
we gave Gideon,
don't wanna lose the
we
point,
gave
though.
Gideon a soapbox about Japanese culture. We
Yeah.
can give Evan some thinking time.
I'm not done. I'm gonna reprise it. I'm only about 5% of the way in.
remix.
Nah, I don't know. I'm not willing to listen.
All right, fair enough. It is Women's Day.
Oh, really?
Women's Day
What are
in
they-
breach of standards for accuracy for reporting that
What was
Harry...
inaccurate? The horoscopes or something?
Yeah, no, they were always accurate. No,
Yeah.
Harry and Meghan were apparently on the outs. Was the big story that like we thank God the vanguard that is the Australian Press Council stands between us and those kind of.
Is that not true?
Well,
I think they were like pretty definitive with it.
Okay.
I mean, I think everyone's probably odds on that 2
yeah,
years
they
away.
did
But
have
why are we paying public servants to verify the gossip about the royal family? That's what I'd like to know.
exactly, because we're all sitting here doing quizzes when
Yeah.
the real battle's outside. But anyway, so thank you to Australian Press Council because otherwise, anarchy all around. So no one gets those
threat
points.
to
All right.
democracy.
Next question: Iran's deputy health minister is in
Gideon.
the news.
Coronavirus.
He's been tested positive for coronavirus. The deputy health minister.
Yeah.
Really? Did
And
you
he-
say Iran?
And
Iran.
he did an interview where he was saying, "Oh no problems with coronavirus," and he was coughing and spluttering the whole time. And lo and behold, now he has it.
Yeah, that is like when they make the movie about coronavirus. That's the first scene.
Yeah.
Because that's kind of creepy. When the deputy health minister is saying nothing will be worried about, and it's like snot's coming out his nose.
Hey,
creepy.
if you get sick in
Very
a
graphic.
country like Iran,
Very
then anything's
graphic.
possible.
Pete, you said you'd nude up last week.
Did I? How can I be expected to remember everything I say? Come on.
Give the people what they want.
Anyway, next one. Closest to the pin. Closest to the pin. No points up.
All right, that's good.
Because no points.
You
are
can't
off.
get it wrong.
You can, just no points are off. 62-year-old George Hood broke the world record for remaining in a planking position this week. How long was he there for?
62. Jeez.
Since 2012, when planking was a thing.
No, this is not like the planking the meme. This is like planking is in the fitness thing.
Give us a
You know
demo.
what I mean?
Yeah.
Give us a demonstration. Get on the
Well, you've
table.
got the cameras.
Oh
Get
yeah,
on the
that I had. Yeah,
Get on the table.
They make-
Someone just fainted in the next room. with
They
the
make
idea of
me
that.
do that in body pump. Yeah. No, I don't know.
How are body pump classes going, Gideon?
Oh yeah, when I drag my bloated carcass there, they go quite well.
That's good.
Not a lot of planks.
I'll have a crack.
I'm sure people know what the planking position is.
Yeah, I
So
don't
we
know.
all get a shot.
Okay.
That's close.
All get a shot. No points
doesn't.
off.
Oh,
Yeah, you-
12 hours.
12 hours. 12 hours. The planking position. All right.
It's a world record.
12 hours.
I'm gonna go 4 hours.
4 hours.
4 hours and 15 minutes.
All right. Peter Gregory somehow wins this, but only by a little bit because it's 8 hours, 15 minutes, and 15 seconds.
So by 15 seconds?
Sorry, no, by 15 minutes. Because you would have guessed
If
you were 4 hours away.
If he'd
You were
lasted
4 hours
16 minutes
15,
less,
but
I
you
would
were
have
3
won.
hours, 45 minutes.
I was about to start whinging that your claim that my guess was too high was a favourable thing for
I
those
just
guys.
felt 12 hours was
But then-
very big guess to be in the planking position. I can't last a minute and a half. This guy's
in the
going-
planking position.
I can't even do it to begin with. I'm one of those people that has to go on their knees.
There we go. How boring would that be, by the way? 8.5 hours in the planking position.
Yeah,
Or
good
them
playlist.
being the Guinness World Records guy, watching this guy playing for 8 hours and 15 minutes. All right, next question. Wait, who got that point?
Me.
Pete.
Come
on. What type of animals escaped from Sydney's
Evan.
war? Who was that? That was
You
two
bastard,
are
you're
good.
too
Ev,
quick.
Yeah, let's go. Ev.
Baboons.
Baboons is correct.
Family podcast, Gideon.
Now, 3
Bastard.
baboons escaped.
Anyway.
For people who missed the story, and if you did, I apologise because this was electric, but 3 baboons escape. Now, one of them was on his way to the hospital for a vasectomy and had 2 of his wives accompany him, and then they all break out together. Now, if that's not true love, I don't know what is. That's the kind of girl you marry.
Yeah.
Why did they? Or 2.
Love
Or
wins.
2 girls.
Why did they bring the wives along?
It's for comfort. No, that was. I don't know if it's true or not, but this was the.
Doing it in a public hospital.
It is a weird one.
What?
I know we got a lot of similar genetics, but I don't think the same surgery tools need to be.
We should. Somebody should ask about that on estimates. I mean, was there Medicare funding for this procedure?
Yeah,
I mean, how
exactly.
many baboons are treated per year?
Yeah, didn't we test cocaine use in monkeys, or was that like an American?
That was in America.
Yeah,
that was a very long time ago.
Jeez,
what a blast from the past.
Good throwback by me.
We don't need to do that here. We just need to send somebody down to the races or the Portsea Polo or something with a big swab. Anyway,
there's a lot of comments with Gideon. It's just like, yep. But it's good stuff. All right. Now, which university is hosting female-only promotion? Evan.
Melbourne University.
Hi, the Tiger Eyes.
Bloody
The way he
hell.
leans in. All
This is
right.
what happens when you have your comms guy doing this quiz. He actually follows the news.
Yeah, that's, well, Director of Policy, I think you should probably be across
You're on Sky like 6 times a week, Gideon.
That's true. That's true. I should do those things.
All right, sweet. So, coming
Thanks,
into the Who...
Thanks, supervisor. It's been a good performance review.
God, Pete was your supervisor. All right, so coming into the Who Am I? It is Pete on 3. It is Evan on 3. It is Gideon on 2. No,
Whoa.
1. Gideon's on 1.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Still
I
win.
don't think I've done that well.
All right, so 5 points. 5 points. I was born 65 years ago this Monday.
Born 65 years ago.
Yeah.
Potentially still alive. Or dead.
That may be revealed by the next one.
Okay.
All right, so does anyone want to guess?
Nah.
Early on?
I don't.
All right, sorry, for 4 points. Well,
Gideon, you're 2 points behind, don't forget.
Evan is playing some serious gamesmanship there.
You're like Mike Bloomberg with Donald Trump. You're trying to bait me and it's not going to work.
All right.
Saying I cheat at golf or
We
something.
will be talking about that in a second.
We'll save it for the rest of the show, but yes. Now, for 4 points, I died in 2011.
Not alive.
In California.
So that means they must have been, what's that? So that's 56 years old. Yes, getting better at this. Still don't know who it is though. Oh, do I? Nah, don't. 56?
56.
What a roller coaster that was. Yeah, I think so.
I'm going to
Go.
56.
Do it.
Roof,
Do it.
roof.
Do it.
Steve Jobs.
Oh!
Come on, that's why I'm the king. That's why I'm the king.
Oh, respect.
What a get. All right.
That
Evan,
was too good.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you for playing, Gideon
Good round.
and Evan. Thank you. Well done, Pete.
Thank you.
We've got more show for you coming up after this.
Yeah.
Thanks, guys.
All right. Congratulations, Peter Gregory. Very, very good victory.
Steve
Well done.
Jobs.
Steve Jobs.
I'm great at working out his products as well. So,
Very
it's
good.
a partnership made in. I thought you'd get that. I'm really bad with technology, everyone. So let's carry on with the podcast, shall we?
No, let's unpack this. I like where this is at right now. I like the energy this is. No, all right, you're right. We should keep going. All right, let us start some segments now. This is one of my favorite segments we do here. It is the Q&A clap.
The original segment.
This is a sound effects. Oh,
Okay.
all right.
Thank you.
Saul's lost it. All right, that sound you just heard is a Q&A clap. That is a sound effect we play to people that express, like when you watch Q&A, if you do, why? But if you do watch Q&A, some panelists will say something that's just like this knee-jerk, usually left-wing sentence that doesn't mean anything when you think about it for more than 2 seconds, but it somehow manages to get a gigantic clap from the Q&A. Now, Pete and I have always wanted to get our own Q&A clap one day.
Still waiting.
And there's a whole lot of people around the world that deserve this Q&A clap, that deserve it for their statements they make. So, this week, Washington Post, they deserve a Q&A clap for this headline that they ran with for approximately 2 hours before they pulled it. It is time to give the elites a bigger say in choosing the president.
This is your moment.
Now, I didn't want it in the middle of a sentence.
There it is. I'm just Sawley. That's Tony
Give yourself
Jones.
a Q&A clap, Saul, after the show, not now. Now, so that is in regards to Sanders winning in Nevada. So, people just thinking the Paws have had it too good for too long with Donald Trump in, so we need to take back the reins with the elites.
I can't believe they changed it.
Yeah.
Don't change it. This has been your every single op-ed you've written for like 4 years or like 3 decades.
Yeah,
This
it's a
is what you
mask-off
think.
moment where it's just like, oh, wait, no, we weren't supposed to tell you what we actually think. We just had to the veil of security.
This
They
is
changed
what
it
you
to,
think.
it's time to switch to preference primaries.
Which is
No, it isn't.
That is
No,
very
it's
low
not. That's
key.
not what you're going for.
That is not what you mean.
That's not what you mean. So, very funny.
Yeah, you mean we want to continue to steal everything that poor people hold valuable off
Yes.
them.
This country should be run by 3 suburbs in New York and 2 in Los Angeles.
needs a name.
And literally no one else.
It's like, it's not quite a dictatorship because it's like an oligarchy or something.
Yeah, I think it's like oligarchy theocracy if it was religious, but it's not.
Anyway, there probably is a name and
Technocracy.
everyone's screaming it out. And I can't remember your politics. So.
Anyway, now, let's move on.
Okay. Now, everyone, I want to talk to you. I want to talk to you about something that our researcher. Yeah, we've got a researcher.
Do we?
Yeah, Mia.
Oh, yeah.
Mia.
G'day, Mia.
Mia, our researcher, thank you for everything you do, Mia, described this as Barnaby Joyce and Joel Fitzgibbon hardcore beefed on live TV, and I couldn't think of a better way to describe this clip.
Why do you announce a policy and not know how you're going to do it?
That Meat and Livestock Australia will tell you do not need to reduce the cattle herd. What you need to do is reduce the methane emissions from the cattle herd, and research is already very advanced, Barnaby.
And what?
Credit to Mia, that is some hardcore beefing.
That is hardcore beefing.
Hardcore beefing.
And there is nothing more 2020 Australian politics than 2 middle-aged blokes arguing on live TV about how much cows fart and how we can maybe reduce how much cows fart.
Yes.
That's what that was about. But
What's it actually?
If you're an alien and you come down, the head God King alien will say to his, staff, what's that? And the staff will be like, oh, well, sir, they're arguing about cows farting.
Yeah.
And they're, the leaders.
I reckon they'll just go, this planet's not even worth invading.
Let's go back.
Like, this is not worth the natural resources that it would take.
Let's go back. So obviously that was Barnaby Joyce of the Nationals and Joel Fitzgibbon, Shadow Minister for Agriculture and Resources, had an argument. It went for about 5 minutes. Go and Google it if you want. That was just 15 seconds.
Yeah, because I kind of saw it live, because it was Monday morning, wasn't it?
Good question, James. I'm going to take
Yeah,
that
it would have
on
been,
notice.
because, anyway, sorry. It was Monday morning, and I turned on the TV, and I'm still, I'm coming off the weekend where you just want to take Mondays. You just want to take Mondays a bit slowly, and then literally the first thing I see when I turn on the TV is these 2 guys drawing out. I'm just like, it is way too early for this.
Yeah,
anyway, and because of that, maybe I'm a bit jaded towards this press conference. I don't even think this is the best press conference of this week.
Okay,
so
wow.
I will raise you what you just saw or heard, and throw it over to the head. Well, surprise, I'm a basketball fan. The head coach of the Wisconsin G League NBA affiliate team, talking about a team's loss when they were leading by 20 points.
We have to be so much better at the end of games. We can't blow a 21-point lead with 12 minutes to go. However bad and biased and unfair and illegal and cheating the referees are, we have to be better closing games. And so that's the way I feel.
Now that's getting it said.
Yeah,
that's,
exactly right.
That's letting it all out.
So
that's the best press conference of the week.
So that was this week?
That was this week.
I thought that was something from a few years ago. So he's just his team's lost by 20 points and he's just
absolutely cracked it. Cracked it. Got suspended for 2 games for it.
Okay, yeah. Well, that doesn't surprise me. No, that's very good, James. I want to throw back. So we're trying to find, because as I said, I liked it. I think a little politics is a bit more stale. Having a couple of blokes just going nuts at each other and having a good old fashioned stoush is good. I wanted to show one more absolute classic Australian press conference. It does go for 44 seconds, but you do need to watch it all.
If this is what I think it is, every second counts.
Every second counts. Saul, roll the tape.
Well, this is the mood in
It is what I
Whyalla.
think it is.
So if you're listening, don't worry, because the people watching, nothing's happening either.
This is just Craig Emerson awkwardly standing there waiting for the music to kick in. Still waiting.
Labor Trade Minister Craig Emerson. Here he goes.
Now he's dancing.
Ooh, yeah. Tune.
Getting the moves out. He's still dancing. How did they not rehearse this? Oh, there we go.
I'll wipe out there on my TV. No, why I'll wipe out there on my TV. No, why I'll wipe out there on my TV. Shocking me right out of my brain. Shocking me right out of my brain.
Well, I'm shocked out of my brain.
Man, I could discuss that clip for 3 hours.
So-
And with your permission, I will.
So, listeners, because a lot of you aren't that old, that was 2012. That happened.
That happened. That was a minister in the government just awkwardly staring at a journalist
Of the Commonwealth of Australia.
Of the Commonwealth of Australia, singing along to a old song from the 80s about the fact that
and
a
the rest
council didn't. What was it? Like a factory didn't shut down.
It was something. Tony Abbott had said something. He said the carbon tax would wipe out Whyalla, which is
Yeah.
a town in South Australia.
And instead of just saying it didn't, Craig Emerson got on his thinking's chair and he thought, you know what?
Let's cut through.
We should talk to a journalist. I should sing.
Yeah.
Instead of, I don't want to do it a cappella, so bring in a speaker system that will play the song. Don't start it from when the lyrics kick in. Give the whole 20-second musical intro. I'll just stand there and dance. It'll be fine. It'll play.
Did you know on that apparently Evan Mulholland said the staff member started at the wrong time? He was meant to start, so he was actually stuck there.
I think he was too busy handing out his resume on his phone.
Well, he didn't have the courage to say, boss, this is not a good idea.
Yes.
Although we're still talking about it 10 years later. So.
I'll be talking about it. I'll be bouncing my grandchildren on my knee, telling them about, look, sorry, he genuinely thought this was a good idea at the time. It was crazy.
No, it was different times back then, kids.
Yeah, better times. Bring them back. All right, so we got one more. Bloomberg. Now, last week we discussed that Pete was going for some Bloomberg's internet clouts. Bloomberg was offering $150 to Instagram influencers.
It was a long time ago,
It does. So Bloomberg was offering Instagram influencers $150 to spread the good word of Mayor Bloomberg. Now, Pete, did we get any money?
Not yet.
Did you nude up on Instagram?
I didn't nude up on Instagram.
So whose fault is this?
I'm sorry that I didn't come through and say what I said I was going to do. I'll put it on my list for this week.
Good. All right. If you remain clothed on Instagram, I will spew. I will spew live on next week's show.
Don't say things you can't take back, James.
I don't think I can actually spew.
I'm pretty comfortable with my body.
I've really dug myself a hole here because I can't vomit.
I have no problem with nudity, so you better find out a way to not vomit. Anyway, peter.j.gregory.7 if you want to check it out.
All right.
Let's do it.
Let's do the story. Sorry. Matt Bloomberg, now it's come out that he is not only talking to Instagram influencers, he's also talking to comedy writers and a narcissism expert. I don't know what that is. I don't know how you're an expert in narcissism.
Just a politician.
Maybe, yeah. Just his mate. Yeah, I'm an expert in narcissism after being your mate for 20 years. Now, he wants to be relatable. He wants to be down with the kids. And here's some of the stuff he's come out with this week that really isn't cutting it for me. Now, so we'll do the tweet first. Now, so his internet team decided they were going to get a hashtag trending after the Bernie Sanders praising Castro stuff comes out. And the idea being that it was like, what does Bernie think about other dictators? Now, the one I want to highlight here, and it's a comedy goldmine, Pete. So get your...
pretty grim.
What was the old Conan line? Put on your chuckle... No, something. Anyway, Vladimir Putin is willing to poison anyone who disagrees with him. But have you seen how that guy looks without a shirt? Delish. Hashtag Bernie on despots. Now, if that's not relatable, if that's not cutting through, if that's not getting the kids on board, I'm out of ideas.
No, look, I liked it. And there's heaps more of them.
Yeah.
But because
the joke is Bernie is gay. That's a joke now.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I didn't even think of that aspect of it. Yeah, that's true as well. Yeah. But there's heaps of them about other dictators.
Yeah.
That's like, they're actually quite
That
grim.
was just my one.
Yeah.
Where I'm just like, what is going on here? But do you have any others you want to share with us?
Well, yeah, I mean, I don't think this is funny, but like, this is what he's written.
None of them are funny.
That's
None
true.
of them are funny.
Should we really hold Muammar al-Gaddafi's extrajudicial killings of political opponents against him when he also built a pretty sweet countrywide irrigation system? Hashtag Bernie on despots. Anyway, The Guardian said... yeah, exactly. That was my reaction. The Guardian said some users pointed out without verbal cues it was difficult for most followers to discern that the latest hashtag was a joke, not actual quotes from Sanders. That's true, but not for the reason Guardian thinks. The Guardian thinks people are stupid. Yeah. They're not stupid. It's just that Sanders does sort of say stuff like that.
Yeah, exactly. All right, so those were the tweets. We also had some billboards. Now, Trump was giving... so we just had the Nevada caucuses. The Dems are there. Trump was also there because it is also like the Republican primaries as well. He's not running against anyone, but he is using it as a rally system.
He is. He's lost one. He's 86-1 in front.
Oh, really? Wow.
As in one of
or
the
one
delegates.
delegates, right? I thought he lost an election. I'm like, how does that not use? Anyway,
Should've done
so
before we did the show.
I reckon Trump is hands-on to become the Republican primary candidate for the election. But, Trump is in Nevada. He's giving a speech at one point. And Bloomberg buys up a few ads between Trump's hotel and his place that he's giving the speech at. Here's one of the ads. Here's one of the billboards he's run with. Donald Trump eats burnt steak. Mike Bloomberg likes his medium rare. Got him.
That is
Nailed it.
And it's sort of
Trump will never come back from this.
It's sort of sad. It's
like pretty sad.
We can get votes by doing this stuff, and like no one knows what his policies are.
Yeah,
I mean, like they probably
stop and frisk and NDAs.
But it's like with Bernie, Bernie's a
banning
socialist.
Soft drinks.
His whole Bernie's a socialist. His whole campaign is we're going to do these funny billboards.
Yeah, exactly.
That's it.
Donald Trump eats burnt steak.
Yeah, which I don't actually get. I don't get it.
Because I reckon it was originally Donald Trump eats Donald Trump eats well done, which just sounds like you're praising him. Like, just well done, Donald Trump eats. Hey, good on you.
But what's that got to do with anything?
As if like that's just because you're in Las Vegas and like the culinary influences and like there's a lot of restaurant workers and it's like just shaming people correctly who have steaks well done.
Okay, fair enough.
The best kind of steak is still mooing. Is as rare as you could possibly get. Yeah. Any opinions you want to offer on this one?
Medium.
I'm
not a big steak guy.
Of course.
Don't say that.
Just middle ground Pete over here.
My controversial
Whatever just the least interesting one is.
I don't have to, make up for a bland personality with exotic, food.
I reckon you should.
Can I give you something? My controversial view on steak is that I don't reckon it's that good.
What about pork steaks?
Pork steaks are good.
Yeah.
Anyway. Let's go.
What a note to end the show on. Did you have any other billboards you want to do?
Oh, it's just the one that said, and I'm just trying to find it here, which I can't quite find it. Oh, it's Donald Trump cheats at golf. Oh, there it is.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, which is obviously true. Like everyone knows.
But also, like, what a way to appeal to the common working man.
Yeah, the kids.
I don't cheat at golf.
Yeah.
Great. I'm not able to play because I'm not rich.
Yeah, I've never been to a golf course.
Exactly. All right. We got to get in on this campaign. It just seems like an absolute way to print money. This guy's just sending out millions and millions of dollars to copywriters, and this is all you have to do to earn your paycheck.
It's an opportunity waiting to be exploited.
We've got to get in on this. Anyway, that is it for the show this week. Thank you to Evan Mulholland and thank you to Gideon Rosner. And thank you for listening out there. So if you want to get involved as a young person, we've got O Week is happening at the moment. Few O Weeks still to come. Few O Weeks have been. If you want to get involved with Generation Liberty, which is a program here at the IPA, then go to generationlibertyipa.org.au.
Correct, and that's for young people.
And that is for young people. And there's thank you, Pete,
for the youngs.
Well done. And they've also got a Facebook page, Generation Liberty, and an Instagram page, Generation Liberty IPA. So make sure you're joining all those.
Yep.
And we got the membership for $25.
Yep, exactly right.
Very cool. All right, see you guys next week.
See ya. Thanks all. Bye.